If a character speaks in a particular dialect, that is part of their characterization and suggests where they come from and their socio-economic status. A dialogue. A dialogue is one of the major techniques you will refer to, and it is often good to refer to it in connection with other techniques. Diction. A diction is the selective choice of words and style of expression by an author. Diction refers to the construction of expressions which allows a text to fulfill its purpose. It can impact the tone and representation of characters and setting. A didactic. A didactic is any text that instructs the reader or is obviously delivering a moral message. A deixis. A deixis refers to the use of words or expressions that are considered deictic, meaning they require on the context of other words to develop clear meaning. The most common examples of this are me or here. These words require us to know, or at least assume we know, contextual information to develop meaning. A disjunct. A disjunct is a type of adverb that modifies a whole sentence. They function in a similar way to introductory clauses and introduce examples or observations by commenting on them. Disjunction. A disjunction is a conjunction, for example, usually either or, but also but or yet, that dramatically interrupts the rhythm of the sentence to introduce a contrast. Ellipsis. An ellipsis is sometimes used to truncate quotations that are long by using three consecutive periods, for example, add three dots at the end of a sentence or phrase. Emotive language are words that stir the reader's emotions. Enjambment. An enjambment is a poetic technique when a sentence or phrase runs over more than one line or stanza. Euphemism. An euphemism is a mild expression used to replace a harsh one. Exclamation. An exclamation mark at the end of a sentence conveys high emotion. Foreshadowing. A foreshadowing is simply an allusion to something that will happen later in the narrative. A flashback. A flashback is a scene appearing in a text that occurs earlier than the main narrative. Depending on the situation, flashbacks can have many effects. Fragmented or truncated sentences are incomplete sentences used to increase tension or urgency or reflect the way people speak to each other. Sentence fragments are sentences that cannot stand on their own. Gaps and silences. Gaps and silences indicate what is not said, whose voice isn't heard, and whose voice dominates. Humor. Humor is incongruity, parody, satire, exaggeration, irony, puns, etc. Used to lighten the overall tone. Hyperbole. A hyperbole is a literary term for exaggeration. Icons. Icons can be a single person, object or image that represents complex ideas and feelings. Imagery. Imagery is vivid pictures created by words. Readers can visualize characters' settings clearly. Imperative voice or mood is a forceful use of the verb at the start of sentence or phrase. The imperative mood is one of the grammatical moods in English. Incantation. An incantation is a poetic form that uses repetition, rhythm, and/or rhyme to convey a sense of magic or magical power. Intertextuality. Intertextuality is when a text makes a reference to other texts. This reference can be an explicit quotation or implied and inferred by allusion. In medias res. In medias res means in the middle of things, and it refers to narratives that begin in the middle of action, as opposed to slowly building up to this action. This is an ancient technique, and it has a number of meanings. Most obviously, it's a hook to draw the reader in. It can also be used to disorientate.